Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday, June 21st, Board of Public Works and Safety meeting. As a reminder, we are streaming the meeting live on City of Madison YouTube channel. It's also being recorded and archived for later viewing. Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Eaglin?
Here.
Mayor Courtney?
Here.
Carlo?
Here.
Awesome. Board, have you had an opportunity to review the minutes from the June 6, 2022 meeting? So we'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for the June 6th, 2022 meeting as submitted.
Second David's motion.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. No adjustments or unfinished business, so we'll move straight into new business and turn it over to our counsel, Joe Jenner.
First thing we have here is a resolution for a street closing. That's resolution number 38B-2022. A resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana for a street closing for Rocking on the River. There's a request filed by Stephanie Hartley on behalf of the Salvation Army of Jefferson County for street closings in connection with her Rocking on the River to be held Saturday, September 3rd, 2022. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the following streets shall be closed on Saturday, September 4th, 2022 from 6 a.m. to 12 midnight. Vaughn Drive from Jefferson Street to Mill Street, and Vine Street, Elm Street, Broadway Street, Poplar Lane, Central Avenue, West Street, and Mulberry Street from Vaughn Drive to the south side of First Street. Further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that said streets as closed shall be under the supervision and control of the Salvation Army of the times noted above for the year 2022.
Joe, just one correction I did as you were reading that. Looks like there was a typo. The event is Saturday, September the 3rd, and in the second paragraph it referenced the 4th, yes. And is anybody here representing Salvation Army for this resolution?
Army, but I'm doing the car show portion, sir, so I'm here. They were supposed to join me, but apparently I'm the one you got.
He's on his way. I just saw him walk by the window.
Oh, okay.
Wait.
All righty. While we're waiting, I might ask Hannah. Hannah, did you have an opportunity to review the safety plan that was submitted? The event plan that was submitted? You did? Okay, good. Okay, well, we are welcome, Justin, if you'd like to come up and talk to the board about the Rocking on the River car show.
Yeah, hi. We're planning to have our Rock on the River event like we've had in the past on the Saturday of Labor Day. We're planning for the same kind of event with the car show starting in the morning throughout into the afternoon with the concert at night, the Monarchs Band and the Doctors Band. So we have a committee that's been helping us plan this event with our Salvation Army board members, and Jim Wilkins has been helping us with that to plan the car show part of it, take over that. I don't know, many of you probably know already that my wife and I are being transferred with the Salvation Army to Green Bay, Wisconsin. So there's a new Salvation Army captain that's being transferred here. Her name is Captain Janelle Cleveland. She'll be here next week, and so she'll get settled in and take over and work with the committee to get the keep the event going as planned. Obviously, as part of that involves the street closures down on Vaughn Drive, Vaughn Drive from Mill Street, Elm Street, Broadway Street, Jefferson Street down to Vaughn Drive and Mill Street, the south side of First Street, I think it is, we had a map in the packet that we submitted.
We did make one change to the original map from previous years. We were gonna try to eliminate.
You mind coming up to the podium? If it's okay, we'll get you all. This is, also keep in mind too, Jim, that the community is, you're being filmed, so community is watching, and this is good information for them too. Thank you.
Today. The one change we decided to try and make this year was to have a pre-registration entry at Jefferson and Vaughn. Idea is to try not to have the backup out on Main like we did during the Riverfront Run. We thought, speaking with them, they had 100 pre-registered, 500 cars. If they could have pulled that 100 out, might have helped traffic. That's what we're gonna try to achieve. But other than that, pretty much a standard show that's been going on for 20 years that I've
Okay.
been a participant in versus working on.
Gotcha, okay. I was gonna ask, is this the same footprint as in prior years, from Jefferson down to Mill?
Yeah, it's the same footprint, I know at least as far as last year.
Okay.
Except for, like he said, just a second entrance over.
So will there be two, because I'm glad you brought up how cars are staged that are coming in, because it did create a lot of backup on, because there was only one entrance into the Riverfront Run car show, because then they had so many cars, it was backed up,
Right.
I mean, all the way to the west end of town. Are you having two staging areas coming in Jefferson and Broadway?
Well,
Is that-
so our main entrance is down Broadway, like we've normally done in the past. And then we're talking about having a second entrance over on, what'd you say, Jefferson?
Jefferson.
And Vaughn for pre-registered cars to come in.
That would be, they submit registration information in advance. They'll get a return card back from us that they have to present at that gate to get in, or they have to go back over to Broadway.
Okay.
We thought it would, we were trying.
It'll help alleviate some traffic probably up on Main.
I was out there a half hour myself that day, so it was, we want to eliminate that traffic if we can.
Okay. And you're expecting about 300 attendees. How many vehicles do you expect?
Well, we, in the past, I think we normally have been just over 100 up to 170, 175 was maybe 2019, or I think was what they said was like our biggest one. I wouldn't anticipate too much more, but I guess, in May, they had over 500 that they weren't expecting, so.
To be on the safe side contingency, I'm planning paperwork for 300 to register, with a contingency of extra paperwork for 500 if that happens.
Okay.
I really don't anticipate that, but I don't think Riverfront Run did either, so we're trying to cover all the bases to make sure if that happens. Nothing worse than have to turn someone away because you don't have paperwork.
And where will your registration office be? Will that be in the Broadway building on Broadway Street?
Normally do a tent down on Vaughn.
Yeah,
part of the
we have the
park.
big tent down in Bicentennial Park.
So the ones that need to register, everything will be
Right.
there.
So they'll come through the registration gates and
Okay.
get like a card or something,
Yeah.
and then they go park, and then they come get in line
Okay.
at our tent.
At that time of day, there shouldn't be much foot traffic down there because that's before the music.
No, normally. They
Yeah.
usually, well, just from being participant, usually
Right.
participants wait till cars get there. And
Right.
there's a lot for them to come
Yeah.
and walk up and down to see.
And no golf carts are allowed inside that print on Bond Drive.
We have usually had two golf carts that we borrow for us.
Yeah.
For staff
Okay.
that we
Mhm.
use around to, like the judges and the people working it.
But no private carts are allowed in down there, correct?
No, not
Okay.
traffic during, no, they have to be registered in there. We'll block them off. They have to be in the show to get in that
Okay.
area.
And what's the plan for resident parking on Central and West? I mean, we're starting to ask more about that, because if you're closing the streets that go north and south at first, what about the residents at West Street, Mulberry Street, Central Avenue?
Chillbillies.
Chillbilly's business there, have we thought about how we're notifying them and where their parking alternative might be? And particularly, you know, Chillbilly's, which is right there, you can still get, I mean, with regard to other festivals, they've moved the closure down to Vaughn so that you could still get to Chillbilly's in and out of their parking lot, but not onto Vaughn.
I think generally in the past, I don't think we've closed off much up the street into any residential area.
Okay.
It's just been more down on Vaughn Drive area where the car show.
So where are the barricades gonna be placed? It says here in the resolution that Vine, Elm, Broadway, Poplar, Central, West, and Mulberry Street from Vaughn to the south side of First Street. Which makes me believe anyway that you're gonna close it off at First. So there's all those blocks there, even though, you know, the venue is all along Vaughn Drive. Just trying to anticipate where your barricades are gonna be so that residents may or may not have a difficulty parking that weekend if, depending on the actual event footprint.
It does look like we would barricade at Jefferson and at Mill, running across Vaughn, and then no entry from Vine, Elm, Poplar, Central, or West. And I believe Central and Poplar, have gates, if I remember.
Right.
Can go across the street.
Yeah.
So are you not, you're only barricading at those intersections and Vaughn and not
Yeah,
at First Street and those
From-
intersections?
From what I remember from the past events that I've done is we just have blocked it off right there at Vaughn.
Okay.
And not
I
really
might
gone
ask,
up into the
Tony, our
residential
street
area.
superintendent is here and chief of police is here, and I'm not sure if Kenny Washer's back there with regard to fire, but I'd like some clarification on that because the resolution reads like you're gonna close it at First Street, and that's why I'm asking. And this is a free public event, so we're not worried about, you know, regulating admission badges, or unless I'm misinterpreting what's in the resolution. I like what you're saying better, which is you can come all the way down to Vaughn, and that's your designated footprint. And if we have the proper signage and community notification, we won't have vehicles try to go south to get to Vaughn and then realize that, well, there's a festival going on, I've got to somehow back up and turn around.
Will you be parking vehicles on Vine, Elm, and Broadway streets?
We would, you mean between where we block it off and Vaughn?
Between Vaughn Drive and First Street?
If we have to use it, yes. I mean,
Just an
the
overflow?
third we do this, we would fill Vaughn first, and if we do have continued attendance participation, pretty much like all the rest of the shows, then we would start really with the closest, what would that be? Probably Elm Street first, fill that, then we go to the next, start the other way.
Yeah.
I mean, for overflow, you know, I'd like to tell you, yes, we're gonna fill every one of those streets, but again, we just don't know until you see
Yeah.
what turns out.
Depends on the weather and,
Right, yeah.
you know,
You know, a sprinkle of rain, we'll have half the attendance we would if it's a nice day.
yeah.
That's why I got so lucky. It was nice, it was hot.
Beautiful.
They
Yeah.
were
Nobody
sweet.
wants to get rain on their classic car, that's for
That's
sure.
the way it is. You know, over the years, that's a chance of rain, people won't give them.
I think usually we do have them block it at First Street so that way they can turn and they don't go all the way down.
Well, that's why I brought up the issue about the resident parking and notification of
And
residents.
it's never been an issue in the past. Maybe it has been, I don't know, but I mean, usually they'll let the residents go right through.
I would just say, Mayor, if I could please.
Yep, come on up, chief.
A barricade at, on the south side of First Street, and just put local traffic or no through traffic, and still allow the folks that live there to get around that barricade, but to warn other people, don't go any further than this, because obviously you're gonna be blocked off. Otherwise, you're right, you enter at the foot of the, street.
You won't be no place to turn around.
No place to turn around, so.
So the resolution is accurate, we're just saying we're gonna put no through traffic there, and if someone's living on Central, for example, it's gonna be one of those fiberglass barricades they can slide out of the way and go park in front of their house. Or I just wanna make sure we're not saying, if you're a resident, you can't park there, you know, unless we've created another plan, like Riverfest, you can't park there. Regatta, you can't park there. So we need to have an alternative, and that's where, as you've seen, as we've gone through and really try to refine these event guidelines, is about really good communication and and a lot of the heavy emphasis is on proper traffic management. Inside the footprint, but also outside the footprint. This is gonna be a relatively, much more manageable event than a regatta or a river fest or where you're gonna get 10,000 people. Much more manageable, but we're going through the same logical steps, and which is why we're asking the question, so we have a real thoughtful understanding, what is it we're really doing? Because the resolution says we're gonna block the streets at first, which makes sense, but what are we doing with regard to the residents that are there?
So block the streets at first to no through traffic.
Well, but on Mulberry, where you have the entrance to the restaurant, I think we need to alter that stop
We move that
down to
I
Vaughn.
think, Tony, did you raise your hand? You have a comment? You want to come up? Okay. Okay. How have we done, the lighthouse? They just park and walk to the lighthouse? I mean, because that footprint's all in front of there. They've been managing?
Image of the clientele, the people that doesn't want to hit the dinner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dinner, 'cause I've always seen that packed.
They will be notified.
Yeah, we
Okay,
have
yeah.
Angela, and I don't remember her last name. Angela, we have a person in charge of that. She's doing all the notifications to the businesses and the residents in the area. That's on her to do. As far as the parking, I know, I was kind of impressed. They have a really nice no parking sign thing already made up to be posted, so a little bit fancier than what I've done for cars and coffees.
Yeah.
The plan's real good, I gotta say that. It looks like it.
Yeah, the plan's good. I do have a couple more questions on it, and which is on the facility use form, you're indicating you're using Kiwanis Park and Crystal Beach and Fireman's Park. Could you explain what's going on there that's restricting? Or is it just open?
It's just open.
I mean,
Um,
are you doing anything inside Kiwanis Park?
no,
Okay.
not,
I know Lamplighters on the south side of On, are you fencing that area off and using it for anything particular?
Right,
Yes.
yeah.
We're not, nothing's, but we're not pissing off any of that. People, one of the things with car shows, those will be the spots that go first. People
Right.
want along that road. So
Okay.
those will be the very first
Sure.
spots to go.
Sure, and Crystal Beach is under construction, so you're not reserving it, and Fireman's Park, is there any music or booths or
no,
anything
all
particular
all
going?
our stuff is down in Bicentennial Park. As far as the footprint, it kind of extended to use that, because in the past, we like went up to that, and then other, groups at one time tried to reserve that park as well, right, on that same weekend, and,
Which, I'm sorry, you talking about Bicentennial?
no,
Oh.
Fireman's Park, I think, that's the one all the way down.
Okay,
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
Fireman's
we
is
were
at
asked
the
to just kind
Jefferson.
of include that in.
Trying to reserve for.
Okay, so we'll reserve those spaces for that. Any other, let's see here, I do have maybe one other question on your, thank you for going through this, by the way,
Yeah, no problem.
with us. And I'm glad, Chief, one of my questions was traffic management plan, how are we gonna do cars coming in? Sounds like that was answered.
If there is rain, is the concert gonna be inside someplace else?
No, we don't have a backup plan for the concert. I think
It's an outdoor weather event related.
Yeah.
Good weather will be good attendance.
Yeah. I know one year they went into the Brown Gym. That's the reason I was asking.
it used to be Brown Gym was the backup location, but that wasn't an option anymore. We just kind of, it's basically just, like last year, it was looking like it almost might rain. And
Right,
There was a little
yeah,
bit of
I was there,
sprinkles, but it
yeah.
really wasn't that bad, and it kind of blew over, and the vans were fine to go on. If we get like bad weather or whatever, that they just can't do it out there and they gotta put their equipment away, then I think we'll just have to move on without the concert.
And you got several food vendors gonna be down there, and that's good. I mean, it's got a good variety. I like it.
Any other comments or questions for Jim and Justin on the Labor Day car show? It'll be fun. Any comments or questions from anybody here?
I'll make a motion we approve resolution 38B-2022.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Justin, thank you. Wish you and Stephanie good luck. And if an opportunity arises to introduce us to the new management there, I'd appreciate it. Yeah,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Although they need to come back to the car show.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, he does.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you. Nicole, we have on the agenda additional services agreement regarding 421 Comfort Station, but I don't see anything in the packet. Did you guys?
Got it.
Oh, here it is. Okay. Maybe I missed it.
It should be a two-sided contract
me?
from Ratio.
I don't have it, but can I take a look at
Sure.
yours real quick? Or maybe well, let me just take a quick look at this one. Gotcha, okay. You want to walk us through this real quick?
Yes, so we're asking for the approval of additional services contract number 2 with Ratio Design for the project at 421 the Comfort Station. The city bought those 2 parcels on the west side of Harrison Street, and we've decided to go ahead and take down that building instead of repurposing it. So we've asked Ratio to relook at that design. That lot's still gonna have some parking and hopefully some additional parking for golf carts for people who are walking across the
Bicycles, too?
bridge. Yep, and bicycles. It's also gonna have
Three-wheelers in Carl's case.
Right.
It's
Training
also gonna
wheels.
have a couple other amenities like water fountains, signage, that kind of thing. But since that wasn't in our original contract, we need to add this additional services. So this contract is for $3,500.
This is for both sides of Harrison Street.
Yes, yep, so it's the demo of the 2 buildings that the city owns on both sides,
And we have a historic board meeting next week on that,
on the 27th.
27th. I think that's a good use, actually, of that space, which is green space, and inviting it and using it for real gateway development rather than repurposing it and trying to make these buildings something that they aren't.
Great.
It's gonna be a game changer seeing green space there instead of an old tattoo parlor and an old gas station building.
That was built in the 1980s.
Yeah.
Or 90s.
They are non-historic structures. Any comments or questions on the additional services contract? Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that we approve the additional services contract agreement with Ratio Architects.
I'll second David's motion.
Comments, questions from the audience? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Eric and Mindy, perhaps we have a salary amendment for airport staff. You might want to explain why we're Board of Public Works for this. And to give some background.
Okay.
Welcome, Eric. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. The background was that mostly, Brent and Brian have been doing an exceptional job out there working with us at the airport. And in reviewing the salaries and comparing it to, what is acceptable in the industry, Brent is closer to alignment, and that's also when Mindy and I went over the allowances within the city for what the budget allows for those. Brent is fairly close. Brian is significantly underpaid for his position, and in addition to that, these people are really nigh irreplaceable. So like every place else, right, retention of employees becomes an issue. So that's why we wanted to bump Brian's salary. Now, it does go over the limits that were allowed in the budget by, I think, about 3,000, which we can cover out of NRO until such time as during the budget meeting we can perhaps expand that limit. The other thing that we wanted to do was clean up. We had a process where there was a fuel sales bonus, which was kind of a little bit ambiguous and hard to nail down, and as far as the accounting with the audits and the Board of Accounts and whatnot. So we wanted to eliminate that and just do a straight salary increase for them. The other thing that we had voted on was to, instead of a comp time, to go to time and a half. With the availability, we've had a hard time finding part-time employees in order to fill those roles, and we have, especially when we have snow removal and events and things such as that. And things out there are kind of fluid depending on airplanes that are coming in and whatnot. So what we wanted to do is just clean that up, and instead of the comp time, pay out at time and a half, which comp time over your 40 hours is time and a half anyway. And to have, instead of having additional, we still need our part-timers, but also if we can have the people we already have that are trained, that are proficient, and have them fulfill that role, then, especially snow removal and whatnot, that becomes more efficient. So it's to basically retain our employees, get their compensation closer to what it should be for the industry standard, and is certainly within alignment of what the city allows when we reviewed it. And it just overall streamlines that process with trying to keep track of comp time and everything else.
Stan, sounds like a lot of benefits to what you're proposing. Deputy Mayor McGee, I may ask you to chime in on maybe what the process is and what's being requested of the board today.
Yes.
And why, and again, why it's in front of Board of Public Works.
Yes, so there's just a couple of
Thank you, Eric.
procedural pieces that go along with it. The increase that they're discussing for 2022 affects obviously the budget that was already approved. And in terms of coming to you all, that additional amount was not approved in our budget for this year. So they are willing to make those payments for the rest of this year out of their NRO fund, which they have the funds to do. This board approves expenditures from that fund. So that's what the request is here today, is whether or not you will okay their use of the NRO funds in that way. But I wanted to also bring up a couple of other pieces. It's all tied together. So that would cover the 2022 increase. But then for 2023, that needs to go through the budget process, which we start next month. We have budget workshops next month. So if you set a salary for 2022 that's higher, and then we go through the budget process, and council is involved in that process, we simply don't know where those salaries are going to end up being. I'm a little bit concerned about setting a salary for this year that if for some reason it didn't get approved for 23, I don't know how you back that off. And in terms of the comp time versus time and a half, I agree with you. I would love to see it done that way, but we have an ordinance in place about comp time for employees, so that needs to be looked at before we start making exceptions to it. So that's a concern to me. There's some documentation that we'll need to look at and do. And then in terms of this year, even just the increase this year, it would require council to approve an adjustment to the salary ordinance that was approved for this year. So that's a completely different process that will have to go through council to approve it even just for this year. And then for next year's salary ordinance, I went through a process last year that effective this budget, I have made adjustments to all the salary arrangements, the ranges, so that we weren't paying people at the top line on every position, which required an increase every year. We had some room to either hire people in at a lower amount, pay them in the middle, so we have room to give raises or increases year to year without having to make adjustments to that salary ordinance. These increases would require adjustments to those bands. So just a lot to consider, a lot of procedural stuff that needs to happen, and maybe some bigger conversations going forward. I am in no way saying I don't think these gentlemen work very hard and are invaluable and deserve an increase, but my recommendation, given all of the other pieces that fall into it and that we need to go through, would be that this board take this under advisement, and we'll consider all of it when we go through the budget process so we can final everything appropriately.
Yeah, talent recruitment and retention is certainly at the top of our minds in this environment where we are so constrained in our workforce all across the city of Madison enterprise, which includes the airport. And that's why it's hard to do mid-year things, particularly if we have a structure in an ordinance that sets the ranges, and as Mindy was indicating, the bands for salaries. And the reason it's here for the discussion today is because we have an ordinance that requires, all disbursements from the airport's non-reverting fund to be approved by the Board of Public Works. And that was the proposed source of funding for the extra salaries. All of that non-reverting income projections were incorporated in the 2022 budget to begin with, when we were looking at not only the airport budget, but the entire city budget, when we got approval for our budget from Department of Local Government Finance. So what probably seemed pretty simple and an easy discussion has a lot of implications and processes attached to it, Eric, that, the airport board would probably be unfamiliar with, except for us that are, really deep involved in the budget process throughout the course of the year. So I like the recommendation, which is let's take it under advisement, come back to you guys with some questions and see what we can do to make sure we have a proper reward structure, but one that also, lives within the confines of ordinances that we have. And also keeping in mind too that we're dealing with this question all across the city. All the 110 employees that we have, we're dealing with the exact same thing, which is about recruiting and retention all the time. And it's in this environment, this high inflation environment with a lot of labor constraints, it's a challenge. So we're not only looking at what are we doing at, the Madison Municipal Airport, which is important to us, but all across the enterprise. So we'll take it under advisement if that's okay with the board. And then we'll have some follow-up discussions with you all at the airport and come up with some recommendations for the next meeting, if that's okay. Eric, thank you for serving on our airport board. We really appreciate it.
I will say that
Yeah.
it's a very professional, well-run
It is.
airport. It's, you talk to people, it's one of the best they've seen or map for a city this size.
When we moved here, about 8 years ago, I run an airport in the state of New Hampshire, and I dealt with the board from what used to be a Pease Air Force Base, and that went over into private, became part of government, and they had a secondary airport that they had taken over, and we ran that under contract. And dealing with the efficiency of this airport and how the board is run and the ability and flexibility that we have to get things done, is really a pleasure.
Yeah.
As compared to working with some
That's-
boards that had to deal with.
Good leadership, good management is the way to do that, and that's how you really involve the community, and that airport provides a tremendous economic impact to the whole county.
I think the airport is really it's kind of a secret to the community. They don't realize the benefits of an airport that we have for a community our size. And I was on the council when our airport terminal was constructed, and that was a game changer.
You want to share what year that was?
I don't, early 2000s, I believe it
Okay,
was.
okay.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
But it's been a game changer, and the airport has seen continuous improvement over those 20 years. And
Yeah.
And that's the thing that the Brent and Brian have both been really instrumental in, is getting people out there, the public awareness of, some of the things that we've accomplished, such as having the helicopter base there.
Exactly.
Very significant. We have fractional and outright operators that are operating jets out of there now on a regular basis. So it's, they've really been instrumental in that thought. So.
I think it's important for the city to be a part. I realize it's kind of a branch of the city, but it's important for the city to be involved in the operation. And I think, from what I understand, Brent does an excellent job. And, so, yeah.
I know we certainly appreciate y'all doing what you do out there and being there. So I think this will be, after the advisement, I think we'll be fine. Yeah,
Thank you, Eric.
yeah.
Moving on, pace, couple of pace things. Always excited to talk about pace. Thank you, Eric.
I have two PACE things for you. The first is a final for 413 East Main Street. This project did quite a bit of tuck pointing on the walls there. You can even see the interior, the gable of that part of the building. The bricks have popped out on the inside.
Got a little fire there, one.
Did they really?
Look at that.
But that project has been completed according to the PACE grant. So they're asking for the disbursement of $6,650.
Okay. Take these one at a time. Thank you for that. Love seeing our properties invested in and has tremendous impact for everybody. So I'd move that we approve the PACE final for 413 East Main Street.
Second the mayor's motion.
Any discussion, comments, or questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you.
And the last one I have is an extension request. Gina Lynn has requested an extension for a project at 214, 216 West
Oh, we
Second
didn't.
Street
We didn't have that
for
second.
an additional 3 months. That would make her new deadline August 17th, 2022. They ran into some issues with supply and construction timeline.
14, 216.
I'll make a motion that we approve the extension for 214, 216 East or West Second Street.
Second David's motion.
Any discussion, comments, or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nicole, may I ask that when we do extensions too, if you wouldn't mind just putting a facade picture up? Because
Yep.
I think I know where that property is. Is it just past Vernon Street?
No, it's way before Vernon Street. Well, not way before, but it's before Vernon. It's basically the property that backs up to our comfort station on Second Street. It's the
Oh, that
brick
one.
duplex.
Oh, wow, okay. I was way
Nice.
off. It's looking awesome.
It does.
Yep.
Yeah, the one that built the garage behind it then?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Perfect, perfect. All right, fantastic. Claims.
Mayor, I had an opportunity to review the claims. I'll make a motion that the claims be approved as submitted.
Second David's motion.
Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Thank you. Mayor's comments, just very briefly, we have a meeting this afternoon for finalizing our event plan and safety plan for the regatta, which is coming up July 4th weekend. Chief, I want to commend you. I think that the safety planning that you did for traffic management was very thoughtful, and we'll go over that this afternoon, but it looks like, again, we are taking a lot of steps to make sure that either in the parade or the fireworks, where we're going to have a tremendous amount of concentration of people and cars, I'm very pleased to see that we are doing a lot of intentional traffic management so that it can be smooth, safe, and get people out of the congested area very quickly. So we'll talk more about that this afternoon, but I like the plan that you submitted to us. Yep. And then, Mindy, I don't know if you want to mention anything to the board with regard to Oak Hill update.
Can do. Went up there just yesterday and met with the contractor, the owner of the All-Star Paving, and Kenny, and just did a little bit of a walkthrough. They are making very good progress up there. They've switched, they're doing it in phases, sections of the neighborhood, and they slipped in the sidewalks in the major portion of the neighborhood. Then we found lots of street utility work that needed to get done, and we've been taking care of that, which will help. In addition to everything else that we're doing, it'll help with the drainage issues that neighborhood has. So that's all good news. Now they have moved over to slipping in the curbs. So that's going, it just makes it go very quickly. And, we come up on things and then deal with them as they come through. A lot of neighbors have taken the opportunity to replace sewer lines. We have people in cul-de-sacs that have gotten together and shared the funds and replaced sewer lines. There's a lot of really good work going up in that neighborhood.
Good.
We're starting to move toward park plans and what that will end up looking like and some improvements that we'll be making there. There have been a couple of hiccups just recently. You know, we've had some rain, quite a bit of rain, so that's put them back a little bit, but they're still doing very well because of the machinery they're using. And then just on-site daily, where they're making good progress with a particular machine, they want to keep on doing that. So when they switched to curbs, they wanted to keep on working curbs, but really, we need them to go back and finish those driveway approaches so we can get people back in their driveways and off the street. So we're working on that. We're making an adjustment to that, and today saying, okay, take that little piece off, put the other one back on, and let's finish this part of the job so we can move on to phase two.
Drive through Oak Hill if anyone gets a chance. We do it about once a week, or she's up there more often than that, and it's great to see the investment in that neighborhood. It really is.
It's really
Yeah.
gonna
When we
be
invest
a
there,
great
they
project.
invest as well. So that's
And that's
it's going to
happening
have
already.
benefits way beyond just asphalt and sidewalks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any
Good
questions
job.
for Mindy?
Nope, good job, Mindy.
Clerk, any comments or anything for the good of cause from you?
Not today.
Miss Hill? Are you sure? Okay. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn unless there are any comments from the public that would like to address Board of Public Works today.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second that motion?
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate all you're doing.
We need new signs at the
New signs? Oh, I know. We had a bunch of them. They're not out there anymore.
I looked there, I can't find any.
We had a bunch out there.